Hey, good morning, Dr. Bob Flower. This is the Monday, March 12th Master Pattern Report. Okay, so let's see how we did and what's coming up for this week. Last week we had talked about the S&P making a move on the 5th. We had called for an up move, and there was it did move 10 points, but the other direction. Right range, wrong altitude. And on the second, we had called for a move down on silver, and that was accurate for the day. It was a 2% move, a little over 2% move on that day, so that was a good one. And just as a reminder to you again, some people have said, well, you said silver was going to go up, and you said the market's going to go down, and then you said after that the market's going to go down, then it's going to go up. The issue is this. We are talking about different cycles. Mostly what we do, as many of you know, are daily moves. They're not weekly or monthly unless we say so. Like for instance, with silver, if we call for a down move, that doesn't mean that we're negative in silver. That means that's what we're looking at. And right now, as it turns out, silver is in a down move. And let's make a couple of calls for this week. On the 14th, the S&P, we're expecting a good-sized move on the 14th, and also silver on the 14th. And we think that silver on the 14th will make, there's about a 70% chance, a little over 70%, that'll be a down move. On the 15th, we think that silver will reverse itself, and there's about a 75% chance that'll be an up move on the 15th. And then on the 16th, the S&P, we're looking at a down move on the S&P, and that looks pretty strong. We're saying that might be about a 72-73% chance down for this week. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about our socioeconomics, but before I do that, let me just talk to you about some politics and some commentaries. Okay, I had a meeting this weekend, and a politician said that I was very opinionated, as they are, the way they put it, and here's the thing, and any of you who have read my books know exactly where I'm going with this and what I'm talking about. When you understand the laws of potential, things really, there's very little in opinion. It becomes a matter of determining the objective facts. Okay? So while you might be rendering an opinion, it's an objective, honest evaluation of what's going on. And I'm going to give you a classic example. And I'm not picking on a gentleman, but let's talk about the president. And he made a campaign pledge, big time, that he was going to bring the country together. There was not going to be this dissension and separation. Well, in fact, what he has done, in fact, is he has brought separation. I mean, this 99%, 1% as a clay example. There are facts that come to light, and people who are advocates or subjective thinkers would say, well, you know what, he did that because. That's not the point. You don't, with the laws of potential, you don't sacrifice your principles. You don't. You can change your position so that it incorporates both sides from where you're at, but you don't totally change your posture. This is hurting our potential. It's hurting our country, right? And relative to that, people were saying to me, especially last week, well, you're a registered Democrat. How can you be going against not only Obama but some of these other people? And my answer to them is, look, I'm an American. I happen to be registered as a Democrat, but that doesn't mean that I buy into everything that the Democrats say. I certainly don't buy into everything that the Republicans say. There are times when I agree totally with the Republican and the conservative movement. But then again, there are times when I don't, and times when I feel that the Democrats have something to say. So, for people, I'm not interested in political gain. I'm interested in having a country and a lifestyle that I think was terrific. It's what made this country so great. I want to continue it for my kids and my grandkids. And besides, it's a wonderful, wonderful system. Yes, yeah, sure. Of course, there are problems to it, but there isn't anything that doesn't have problems. There isn't any sort of, of commitment to political structure that doesn't have issues. So to say that you're against this or you're against that, well, that could be true, but it's I'm more apt to say that this is a better way, or this is the correct way, or this is the principled way of following the laws of potential. Okay, and that's the guideline that I use, and a lot of my colleagues are now using. My family and people that I'm associated with are understanding more and more that the nature of potential is something very meaningful to follow, because it is above the manipulation of the human behavioral model. Okay, it's not hasn't been created by humankind. Humankind can't regulate itself. It needs something outside of itself, and my concept is that's nature. When you understand the principles of nature and or potential, it's easier to make decisions. It's easier to follow. It's easier to get things done, and to see what the truths are. Your truths. How true you are being to yourself and to your principles. Okay, so that's very important. Now, those two things out of the way, let me speak to you about talking about Congress and our representatives. I'm considering writing a book, and I think this one will be an epic research dialogue, and I'm thinking of calling it the moronic factor or the idiot factor. I think moronic might be better because it has a different connotation, and it's based on, once again, on opinion versus objectivity, right, and the laws of potential. And the problem that we're having in government, one of the major problems is that they don't listen to us, right? And which, I mean, I'm certainly guilty of that at times. There are people that I don't pay attention to a lot of times because I feel like I know better than them, or they don't know enough. Thank God, I've calmed that down somewhat, but it's still there. But you know what? These people don't know. They may think that they know, but they don't know. And I'll give you a classic case in point. There's a congressman within our district, Congressman Eliot Engel. And Eliot, I hope you're watching this. And I have talked to him personally, and in particular his chief of staff, several times over the past 4 months about a program that I want to present to the Congress for resolving the subprime mess. Okay, and I've talked to a number of real estate professionals. By the way, I happen to be a real estate economist. I taught real estate economics at the United States Military Academy, as well as other higher institutions. So, and I'm 50 years in the business, so I think I know what I'm talking about in that respect. Okay, and I think that I would consider myself an expert. I mean, maybe a little bit more than a congressman, but still, an expert. Now, these people, should be, they're morons. They're morons. They should be tripping over themselves to get to that phone to speak to somebody who has a reasonable answer as to how to resolve issues as important as that. But they're not. Why? Well, first off, because they don't understand. They think that, and this they will tell you that there's got to be a more simple solution. Try presenting a more simple solution to market derivatives, and ask an expert and see what they have to say. I mean, this is plain stupidity. If there isn't a magic pill, they're not gonna listen. And secondly, they have no idea about the mechanics of what you're saying. You know, the insight into what you're saying, the understanding of trusting what you're saying as being workable, right? And therein lies the rub. Everything has to be controlled. We have come to become a country of absolute control by our, quote, leaders, okay? And this is a major, major mistake. This is something like, for instance, what's the latest that they have this? They have this this bill about regarding measures for men's reproduction health. A new bill. I mean, yeah, this goes right up there with the lights. You know, the type of bulbs that we use. This is really getting to be, you know, a comedy. You know, the United States went from being, you know, a serious economic and military power to being a stage for comedians. I mean, Shakespeare would have a ball with this, with what's going on. You know, I mean, this is laughable. I mean, how stupid. Here's another factor. Now it's a little more serious, but this Sheriff Joe Arpaio from Arizona held a news conference last week, worldwide conference that was even covered by Russia, and in it he had what he called evidence of 2 forgeries on concerning the president's birth certificate and his draft card. Okay. And you haven't heard a word from any place about this. Nothing. Now, I'm not a birther, okay? I don't know whether or not this guy was born in the United States, and I think it would, if he wasn't, I think it would do more harm than good by pursuing it, especially at this time. You don't like the guy, throw him out of office in November, okay? But these are things, and what I'm referring to is the cover-up here. And that's what it is. You know, it's a cover-up. I mean, why not get it out and get it over with? I mean, if there's no validity to it, and these are legitimate. I mean, this is not saying that he doesn't have these documents. They're saying that the documents that he is presenting are forged, and there's evidence to that. Deal with it. Deal with it, and do it quickly, and show that it's wrong, and then it's gone. It doesn't become an issue. It doesn't become separation. It doesn't become a doubt. So my suggestion to the President of the United States, if you're listening, and he might be, is listen, address it right now. Nip it in the bud, kill it. Don't let it get any further, because this thing, like everything else, could be so stupid that it blows up in your face, and it is the worst thing in the world for our country. Okay? And therein again is the moronic factor. Don't pay any attention. You know, this is the alien theory. You know, this is another these bunch of nuts. Hey, these bunch of nuts are the ones that are, you know, paying your bills, putting you in office, supporting you, uh, supporting the country, supporting police and firemen and whatnot. You better deal with them. That's the way this country is founded, right? This is not a group of intelligentsia, and that's the end of it, all right? So, um, a word to the wise is sufficient. The problem is that we don't have wise. You know, we have moronic. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about this resolution, these programs that I've designed for resolving Social Security and the debt issue, and with all within one move. And I want to present these to you. I did to some degree last year, but I don't think the country was as ready for it as it is now. And it's very simply this, that uh, the Congress and the state legislatures and whatnot abide by a law whereby every person in the country under a certain age, especially the young people, very, very young people, buy an insurance policy. Now, there's 300 and something million people in this country. If everybody in this country had a $1,000 whole life insurance policy, and they were paying for it over, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and the government was the beneficiary, right? You have at least $3 trillion that is immediately available for debt reduction. If it were a $5,000 policy, which, by the way, spread out over 20 years, if you're under the age of 10 or even 20, is absolutely minimal. Absolutely, positively minimal. But if you had that, the we would be able to immediately solve the debt issue. We would be generating well over $15 trillion, well over 15 trillion, somewhere around 17 trillion dollars. And you don't need to do that every year. You can do that once, or maybe once every 5 years. That could be the case. Okay. Now, if that were the end of it, that would be great, but it's not, because this program, this concept, goes further, and it addresses retirement and Social Security, and the gap between Social Security benefits and retirement pay. And here's how that happens. If you take out a $1,000 life insurance policy when, let's say, you're 10 years old, by the time you're, for argument's sake, 25, it's paid off. Okay. That policy will grow. A whole life equity policy, it will grow, and over the next 40 years, it could well be worth, instead of $1,000, it could be worth $3,000, maybe $4,000. Okay, so that what happens now is that the $1,000 is attributable to the government. The overage of that 1,000, let's say it's 3,000, that additional 2,000 goes towards you and your retirement, your adjusted Social Security benefits. So it fills in the gap of where you need to be or where you want to be at the end of at the end of your working life, if you want to retire at, say, 65. And these things can be moderated. Okay. This is a very viable plan. Now, it may or may not be that there's a law or something like that says, well, you can't do that with the government. We change the law. We make enough laws for stupidity, like kind of light you can have and your reproductive health, we can change laws to benefit us and our government agencies. Okay? These are things that are readily implemented in people's lives that have a little different twist that can be applied to government and to government agencies and to social welfare. Okay, you know, everybody was afraid of the philosopher king, and the reason why the concept of the philosopher king never caught on was simply because people are afraid of addressing the truth. And in my 30 years of dealing with the laws of potential, this has been one of the most outstanding characteristics in the lack of people's development, and especially their potential, as well as institutions, private institutions and public institutions, such as government, is people just do not want to hear the truth. And and part of that is because they fear losing control. And that, my friends, and this is not an opinion, this is a fact, the liberal mindset does just that. It enables, or I should say, it disables people from reaching their potential because, number one, it always puts the blame or the attention on somebody else. Right? It takes away, this is what you should do. Drop dead. What I should do. What should you do? What should you do? Just tell me what I should do? No, go do something else. Do something to help yourself. Don't. It's a matter of this country. We talked last week about Adam Smith and the principle of the invisible guiding hand, and that principle ruled the economics of this country for almost 200 years. Well, it was 200 years, and then all of a sudden, this liberal mindset came in that said that, oh no, you can't. We can't trust that. You know, we have to have specifics that say if this happens, then that happens. If you do one, then he has to do one. It's not the stuff that you do one, he does nothing, or you do two and he does nothing. It's got to be equal. But then the hypocrisy is when you have concepts such as like in taxation, that 50% of the people in this country don't pay federal tax, and the other 50% pay all of the federal tax received. Now wait a minute. Where's the equity in that? Why is that fair? Because it becomes actual dollars instead of percentages, or because it becomes percentages instead of actual dollars? You know, come on. You are now at the point where you are so blessed. You have become the anointed ones, the philosopher kings, to the point where you tell us not only who pays and who doesn't pay, but how much those who are paying pay, and how much those who are not paying don't pay. So this is again, we go right back to the moronic factor. It doesn't work. It's not a concept that stands up. And you know what? I address people to a large extent who do not have. These people are without. And what they're looking for is they want to be like wealthy people. They want to be like successful people. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be, they want to live good quality lives. And they recognize that they're not going to get there by having regulations and handouts that are very moderate, and restricting. They know this. The lawmakers and the phony philosopher kings don't realize that. They think that they're saving us. You know, they're not saving us. They're ruining us. They're ruining us. And it's that kind of philosophy that has brought down many a nation over history. Okay? And think about it and research it. All right, so we've talked a lot about this, and we will continue to talk about this because we think it's critical. Next week, I want to talk about this subprime mess and how we can bail ourselves out, and I'm sure a lot of you are involved in that. And I want to present the program that I think would help, and see what you think about that. So, this is Dr. Bob Flower, and I want you to have a good week, and let's see if we can help make this a better life for everybody.